Thank you. And because there was unbudgeted spending, the process provided for that in the Constitution has kicked in, and so we're here. I made the observation yesterday, Madam Speaker, that with regard to this matter of unbudgeted spending, and in the interest of protecting the public interest in fiscal responsibility, we should consider restricting the use of contingency warrants to facilitate unbudgeted spending. I said restrict. I did not say eliminate. That was taken to mean that I wanted poor people to die when they came to the Red Clinic, and that when the request would be made, then the Prime Minister would have to say to somebody, well, sorry, the budget ran out, etc. This is misleading.
Excuse me, I need to remind you, matters that are raised in one motion or one bill cannot be rehashed. That is a rule that is in the standing orders and needs to be adhered to. Okay?
Madam Speaker, I repeat that regarding the matter before us today, which again is supplementary appropriations, my recommendation to this House is that we need fiscal responsibility legislation that will restrict the use of contingency warrants, to facilitate unbudgeted spending, and provide for a contingency reserve in the budget for unforeseen spending. That is clear. It is very easy to understand, but of course, in this democracy, it's available to any level of misinterpretation, and it can subject me to any level of abuse and denigration, which seems to be the standard practice of this House. Regarding the provisions for July 2017 to December 2017, Madam Speaker, the amount of $85,344,221.60 is what we're talking about now. Of that amount, $40,004,075 was funded through grants. $26,522,746 came from local sources, and we had a loan in the amount of $18.8 million. Madam Speaker, the portion of this spend over budget that came from grants included the amount spent on procurement of hurricane relief supplies and general supplies in the amount of $3.2 million on one hand, and in the amount of $1.5 million on the other hand. And Madam Speaker, what this document in my hand tells me is the funding organization for these grants were multi-donors, meaning they came from many different donors, friendly people, governments, people overseas who saw a plight after the devastation of Maria and decided to come to assistance. So we had $3.2 million for procurement of hurricane and relief and general supplies in order to meet immediate and short-term needs of the populace coming from a number of different donors. And we had $1.5 million for the same purpose. So a total of $4.7 million. But what happened with these monies, Madam Speaker, and the supplies that they procured, the relief supplies? You had a situation right after Maria where the members of parliament on the government side and the chosen caretakers of the Labour Party in constituencies that the Labour Party does not represent in this parliament, going around the country into their constituencies and dishing out these relief supplies in their name, compliments your power rep, compliments your caretaker of the Labour Party. Compliments your Labour Party power rep, or compliments the caretaker on the Labour Party side. But we have the document now from the government itself that tells you this was not the money of the Dominica Labour Party, nor was this the money of any individual member of Parliament of the Dominica Labour Party.
Do you realize you are imputing improper motive?
Why? Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister...
I asked you a question.
No, I don't realize that.
Well, let me assure you that by saying that somebody is doing something, but the money came from somewhere else, that is imputing improper motive.
I am stating a fact, Madam Speaker.
I am telling you, whether it's a fact or not, it is imputing improper motive. And you have
you sat in the chair, but you didn't hear any improper motives at all.
Excuse me, member. When you address the chair, you do it properly. I will not take insolence from you at any time.
And I'll take it from you?
At any time.
And I will take it from you?
Well, you see, guess what?
Yeah, you're the speaker.
That's right.
Good.
You see, you keep forgetting that.
Good.
And I said you are imputing improper motive, and I want you to change your line of argument forthwith.
Madam Speaker, I am repeating that for the period July 2017 to December 2017, Madam Speaker, can I be allowed to continue my presentation in peace without disturbance from this? I didn't say it. Madam Speaker.
I'm grateful to you for acknowledging. I am grateful to you for acknowledging the Speaker has powers and can ask members, stop your louder sides. There. I did it.
You have done
Go
that?
ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Madam Speaker, the amounts that we referred to, as I said, went to the procurement of hurricane relief and general supplies, and that money came from multi-donors. Now, Madam Speaker, in the provisions here, there's an amount of $1.6 million, just about $1,579,592 for urban renewal. The explanation says to facilitate enhancement projects in the city of Roseau and other urban areas. I take this to mean, Madam Speaker, that in terms of the facilitation of enhancement projects in the Roseau area, part of these funds went through the organization or the custody or the distribution of the caretaker for the Roseau constituency, the Labour Party caretaker for the constituency at the time, Senator Robert Tong, the Minister for Tourism and Urban Renewal at the time. while that was happening, Madam Speaker, the duly elected Member of Parliament for the Roseau constituency was standing aside and was looking. Even though, Madam Speaker, he had gone to the Prime Minister immediately following the passage of Hurricane Maria and offered his services because he felt in the post-Maria environment, Dominica needed to come together in a different kind of way. And for months and months, his proposal to serve was before the Prime Minister, with the experience of having worked in a post-disaster period in Grenada as a consultant with the OECS. And, Madam Speaker, while he observed what was going on in the constituency he represented, he had some comments and observations to make about the way in which the caretaker of the Dominica Labour Party was functioning. Madam Speaker, yesterday, the Minister for Health and Social Services was allowed to quote me, sitting right here, from a radio program, to suggest to this House that I didn't know anything about a certain water project, and I was quoted from the radio. So I'm hoping that you'll allow me to quote, Madam Speaker.
I don't know if you recall. I don't think I was sitting in the chair then.
You were there, Madam Speaker. You were in the chair.
And I stopped the member on one occasion, and I told him...
Well, no, but you didn't tell me anything about quoting public, and I heard mention made, Madam Speaker, of public domain statements. So I want to quote a public domain statement, Madam Speaker, which is of relevance to the matter before us today.
Once the public domain statement is not imputing improper motive, you're free to do
Well,
it. If it is not, you
Madam
can't
Speaker,
do it.
the public domain statement was made by the newest member of the Cabinet on the 1st of March 2018. Quote, all of a sudden now, they're trying to use the resources of the state, and I brought it in Parliament, where they actually come with a fake talk about small business and trying to get people to support them through a fake small business strategy. Madam Speaker, the letter is his letter. The letter is his letter. But why doesn't he give it to you? No, why doesn't he give it to you? Why? No, but it is his letter. The letter is sent to me on the confidential cover. I have... When? Madam Speaker, it is confidential to me, but it is his letter, so he can make it available to anybody else. No, Madam Speaker, I am a little bit disappointed that, having been the victim yesterday of a quote from public domain, which was seeking to put me in bad light, and having sat here patiently and listened.
A member, there's a difference between bad light and improper motive. Are you aware of that?
No, Madam Speaker, I'm not on the improper motives thing anymore. I'm just saying...
No, no, you seem to be mixing up the two. So there's bad light and there's improper motive. The rules don't speak about bad light, but they do speak about improper motive.
Madam Speaker, I will say that all sorts of improper motives were imputed against me yesterday. What was that again? Madam Speaker, deduct those minutes from my time. I didn't hear. You see, I was paying attention to you, Sweat. I didn't hear what he said. I didn't hear what he said. Madam Speaker,
look, members, do you? Let me ask you a question to the two members who are speaking to each other. Would you all like me to suspend the House and you all can go outside, have your discussions and come back? Because I'm really fretful
if he so wishes,
about this
and then we can come back to my presentation.
Okay? You all can go. I will give you a time. Okay. Can you all stop it, please? Right. Is that agreed? Can you continue, please?
That's agreed, Madam Speaker. I don't know why these constant interruptions. Anyway, Madam Speaker.
Oh, come on.
Okay, Madam Speaker, on the matter of the $18.8 million, which is now confirmed as a loan. It's now confirmed as a loan from the World Bank. There were statements made yesterday about the confusion involving bona fide farmers who did not receive any money and who were allowed to go through a grievance procedure where they filed a complaint, and some of that has been taken care of. Madam Speaker, there are fishers in the Marigot area operating out of the fisheries complex who have received no money. The fishers who operate alongside them from the Kalinago territory, from other Labour Party constituencies in the northeast area, have received their monies. They're 3,000, they're 10,000. But there's a list of about 30 fishers from Marigot, boat owners and fishers, who have received nothing. And perhaps that's one of the matters that the Prime Minister wants to take up when he speaks with the Village Council of Marigot. And thank you for the initiative, sir. Thank you for the agreement. Thank you for the agreement to meet with the Village Council. Thank you. And let's hope that you, on behalf of the government of Dominica, delivers to the people of Marigot what they duly deserve. Because you mentioned certain names in the Parliament yesterday of Marigot people who are, I'm sure now you believe, deserving of assistance, but who have been looking for that assistance for a number of years now. Okay, Madam Speaker, but just to say, the initiative to bring resources of the country in this era of Labour Party government to the benefit of the economy of Marigot and the people of Marigot is welcome, and I hope we can move on from strength to strength where that is concerned. Let us, Madam Speaker, also agree that there were problems with the Agriculture Emergency Response Grant. Let us understand that the reasons bona fide farmers ended up with no money, but people who are not involved in farming ended up with significant monies, established that there was indeed a problem. And rather than run away from it, should try to see what should be done the next time to prevent that from happening. Because when the money intended for the farmers ends up in the hands of people who are not going to use it for farmers, the nation has a problem. Not the individual people who got the money. The nation has a problem. Because what this is intended to do is to lift the production of the agricultural community for the benefit of the entire community, food security and better economy, etc. And so, rather than pretend it did not happen or pretend it was something else, when the members on the other side all know what it was, let us ensure that we do it better the next time. It is the politics that has to be kept out of it, you know. And, well, that's what you say. That's what you say. And that is what you are expected to say, because we have pointed to the abuse of incumbency that is plaguing us in Dominica, where this government believes it can just do what it pleases. And it would behoove you to listen. Not everything that comes from the opposition is bad, as you believe. The evidence of Joseph Isaac in your cabinet is classic example of that. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Let me quote him. But he said he must go. You know he said he must go. You know he said he must go. Joseph Isaac said he must go. You know that? Oh, he changed his mind. Oh, so you're going to tell us now you must stay? Stay, must stay. So he's coming to say that now. He's coming to say that now. Yeah, but Madam Speaker, if the people of Dominica have their eyes wide open, they know what's going on. And Madam Speaker, if that's what this is about? Oh, that's what this is about? All of this is about preventing Lennox Linton from becoming Prime Minister of Dominica? Huh? That's all of this about? You are using the public resource in such a way to prevent Lennox Linton from becoming Prime Minister of Dominica? Huh? Huh? Okay. You have all. You have all. No, you have all. Madam Speaker, yeah, we're talking, and I'm actually enjoying this talk because we're getting into the mind voluntarily. The gentleman is volunteering his mind to us, and where we are discussing issues of national importance, his fixation is on who will not be Prime Minister, namely Lennox Linton. So all of the spending that we're talking about, all of the unbudgeted spending, all of the small business money, all of the urban renewal money, all of the money to go into constituency empowerment or wherever, all of that in the way it is being done addresses the fixation of the Prime Minister that Lennox Linton will not be the Prime Minister of Dominica. And I want the people of Dominica to take note of that because it's an important, it is an important what a...
You have 4 minutes left.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Oh, what a tangled web we weave.
Linton.
Madam Speaker.
Linton.
Huh? Oh, see, she gave me for 4 minutes. So. Huh? When the 4 minutes come, we'll do it. Good, Madam Speaker. We were talking about the Agriculture Emergency Response Grant. As I said, it is now a loan. And, of course, loans have to be paid back. So let's make sure that when we take these commitments, then we do what is right with the money. We spend the money as efficiently and as well as we can to ensure it meets the intended purpose. Because right now, with a number of bona fide farmers and fishers who are still waiting for their due under the program, that in itself alone, since the money was paid out in January, we're now in May. And there's still people who have legitimate claims that have not been dealt with. There is a problem. Because since it started, you have February, March, April, 3 months have gone by, and they're still awaiting settlement. Something needs to be done about that. And Madam Speaker, in the course of the period of time under which these supplementary appropriations were made, these unbudgeted items were spent on. We had a hurricane on the 18th of September. And quite frankly, Madam Speaker, having regard to the fact that we just approved 80+ million in unbudgeted spending for 2 months of the previous year, I was expecting that the appropriations would have been heavier for the first 6 months of this financial year, 3 months of which we had a hurricane to contend with. And we would have, of course, gone into quick emergency considerations about our items on our low-carbon, climate-resilient development strategy. And you would have expected that this supplementary appropriation would have shown, well, we're ramping it up now. We didn't pay attention to a number of things before, but we're going to pay attention to them now and not wait on other people's money, but we're going to use our money to pay attention to some of those things. And so you would have fully expected some of that to be reflected in here, but of course it is not. And I did make the point, Madam Speaker, that we are still dealing with an underfunded pilot project for climate resilience at a time when we are hoping to become the first climate resilient country in the world, and talking a lot about it since Maria, but doing precious little about the actual strategy that we have adopted since 2012 for low-carbon, climate-resilient development. That is one of the points, Madam Speaker, on which the new member of Cabinet indicated that the Cabinet had no capacity to implement and the Prime Minister needed help. And the Prime Minister has accepted that assessment of the lack of capacity, and he has brought on board the new minister. What's that? No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, Madam Speaker, please ask the member to wait until I'm finished, then he can make all these comments in his wrap-up. I don't recall ever sitting in this house.
Your time is up.
Madam Speaker, I move that 5 minutes.
15.
Don't overdo now. Oh my God.
Madam Speaker, I am offering remember 5 is as well 15. We'll have a compromise of 10. So I move, Madam Speaker, that additional 10 minutes be given to the member for Marigot, the leader of opposition, to make his contribution. Go ahead, Tom.
It has been moved and seconded that the leader of the opposition, this is an historic moment. Can we be silent, please? It has been moved and seconded that the leader of the opposition be given a further 10 minutes to complete his contribution. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. You may continue, please.
Wow. Madam Speaker, I've been in this Honorable House since the 20th of February, 2015. And this is the first time that a request for additional time to speak has been approved. I'm hoping, Madam Speaker, that this is the start of something new. And I want to Madam Speaker, I am emotional. I am emotional. This, as you said, Madam Speaker, this is historic. I am emotional because it took our former colleague to cross the floor for me to be awarded 10 extra minutes to speak on a matter. And I want to congratulate him for that, as I would like to congratulate the Prime Minister for moving the motion. But on this historic occasion, I want to say, Madam Speaker, that we cannot come to this House and for the period of time in which we are presenting appropriations over a 6-month period during which we had a disaster that has caused us to go to the world community and to seek the support and assistance of the world community to become the first climate resilient country in the world, and not pay attention to a revision of the climate resilience strategy that we have had since 2012. Because it is as a result of failures, Madam Speaker, with that strategy and low implementation with key elements of the strategy that we found ourselves in the vulnerable position we were in 2015 and the vulnerable position we were in 2017 when Maria came. Madam Speaker, had we gone further, Madam Speaker, in funding the priorities under the low-carbon climate resilient development strategy for Dominica, had we gone further with the wisdom of using our own money where we found that monies expected from the international community was coming up short, we would have done more. We would have done more for the climate resilient development of Dominica, and we would have been in better shape in 2015 and again in 2017. And these lessons, Madam Speaker, are important. It's important that we take on board the lessons, and I don't know if the choice of the new climate resilient minister has anything to do with the lessons, because it seems that the Prime Minister, in making that choice, decided that there was no capability in his existing cabinet for that, so he went outside to get it. If that is a sign of lessons learned, I think, okay, we're on to something. So, Mr. Prime Minister? No. You'll respond when you're wrapping up. You respond when you're wrapping up. No, you respond when you're wrapping up. I have been very, you see how tolerant I am of these incursions, and you see the 10 minutes are not being wasted. Madam Speaker, let us make sure. You know what, Madam Speaker? Let me just say this. The way, because a lot of things are going to be said after I've spoken. So let me say this, so for the benefit of those who will speak and denigrate me afterwards. I was raised in a house where we were taught never to be boastful or to make a big issue about the help that you give to people. And regardless of how long I live, I will remain true to that teaching and learning from my mother, that what you do for people is between you and people. And to all those who would like me to make a song and dance about what I do or what I felt I should have done or what I did, I'm not going to get involved in that. And I'm urging the members on the other side to be graceful and to be humble in the use of the resources of the state, and to recognize where the money is not coming from your pocket, you have no moral or any other authority to go and present yourself out as such. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I rise to give support to the supplementary appropriation for the period July 2017 to December 2017, primarily focusing on the Ministry of Tourism and Urban Renewal, which I had the charge of. The task has been challenging, to say the least. However, members on the other side are always quick to oppose. Many said we opened Dominica to visitors too early. The question is, when was the right time? We did our best to ensure that what we presented was acceptable. We invited the tour operators from overseas, we invited the cruise executives to come and visit our shores to ensure that Dominica was safe, secure, and that their visitors would have had a great experience. But it has been proven over and over again that the opposition only cares about themselves. The government cares about the people, and we care about our stakeholders, the hair braiders, the tour operators, the vendors, the taxi owners and drivers, tour operators, the bars and restaurants. And yesterday, we heard certain persons give the impression that the only restaurants that are open in the city are only provided bakes. That is the furthest from the truth. Over 80 restaurants are open in the city of in the Roseau area. So I don't understand how one can imply that IROC, Perky's, KFC, Bunny's, Guiave, Escape Bar and Grill, Bouillon Flavor, Franz, Ruins, Patty Shack, the Great House, how can one say that these places only sell bakes? It is a shame. It is a farce. And that again shows the modus operandi of the other side. They only come with information that is false and incorrect to only mislead. The hotels and all those other companies who supply goods and services to the tourism sector, we do care about them. If these stakeholders are unable to take care of themselves or make a dollar, who's going to take care of them? Obviously, it is not the opposition members. Most persons can't even find their offices to speak with them. Some persons have taken the position to fire the first shot. And you know what they said? They said, I'm hungry. I have no money. Why did they do that? They did that just to prevent people from coming to ask them for help. And that is not what this side is about. Madam Speaker, as a caring government, we had to take the bull by its horns. There was much to be done. We couldn't wait. Despite the damages caused by the hurricane, Dominica still remains one of the most beautiful countries. It is still clean and beautiful. However, we have lots of debris which we are working on, and we all have to do our part to clean our beautiful island. So as a result of all of this debris, scattered items, we had to continue to move to clean our country to make it acceptable and ready for our visitors, because we need the economic activity. I want to thank all the various ministries, all the various organizations, the public, the residents, the stakeholders, for doing a fantastic job in making Dominica ready for our visitors. If we have a good city, a good island for ourselves, obviously anybody coming to Dominica will enjoy it. Many persons are amazed in terms of how far we've gone. There's a lot more work to be done. There's a lot we can do more. But if you just close your eyes for a second and remember what the city, what the country looked like one day after the storm and what it is like today, you all must say that all of us have done a fantastic job, but we will continue to do more to make our country the best. As a result of that, millions of dollars had to be spent to clean up our country. And that was part of the reason why you have the supplementary appropriation from the Ministry of Urban Renewal. Some of the items that we planned to do, we had to move those aside and use those monies to clean our city. We couldn't wait. We had to clean up. Then the next phase was rehabilitation, and we also had upgrades. So, Madam Speaker, labor, labor, labor. So much has been spent on the cost, sorry, Mr. Speaker. So much money has been spent on the cost of labor, paying the hardworking men and women from all over the city and environs to clean our island. You can well imagine the Pottersville Savannah. That Pottersville Savannah was just dirt, debris, and galvanized from the city of Roseau. I dare say that the city is a lot cleaner than it is before, but we have realized that more has to be done. And recently, under the stewardship of the new Minister of Urban Renewal, he has gone around the city, going through every single street and making sure we have a fine cleanup program. And very soon that will be implemented. And as the Minister of Tourism, we will be working hand in hand to ensure that our city is presentable for our citizens and for our visitors. Our sites received much damage. Our trails were blocked. You can just imagine, normally it takes 15 minutes to walk to the Emerald Pool. And after the storm, it took my staff members over 2.5 hours. I want to really thank them for taking the time, for risking their lives and going out and ensuring that we visited all the sites and making sure that they were in a presentable state. Right now, over 95% of our sites are ready and presentable to our visitors. And therefore, visitors are now coming to our country and enjoying what we have to offer. And we will continue to work to make sure the remaining sites are in a proper order. So all our premier and signature sites, such as the Trafalgar Falls, the Midland Falls, the Emerald Pool, the Freshwater Lake, the Indian River, are all done. We spent thousands of dollars to clean up some of the beaches. For example, the Mero Beach. But again, the opposition, I suspect they have a policy that says they should not really engage the other members on the other side. Because I have received zero, no WhatsApp, no text, no email, no phone call. For example, from the minister, for the honorable representative for the Salisbury constituency, he mentioned about galvanized in his area. He has never called me. However, in listening to him yesterday, I reached out to him, and guess what? I got my first WhatsApp from him with the information. So it can be done. So, Madam Speaker, the other side always says that the government is doing nothing, but that is the furthest from the truth. And I'm very happy that my friend, Honorable Isaac, is on this side now, and he will be speaking the truth from now on. We have rehabilitated the Tukari Beach. We have rehabilitated the Purple Turtle gazebos, the Trafalgar Falls, the clearing of boulders at the Trafalgar Falls, the cleaning of Champagne and Champagne site, the renovation of Freshwater Lake Reception Building, the demolition of the Carabantic Building, the renovation of the Bayfront and the lanes, as you can see right now, the cleanup of Newtown from I can't remember the exact area, but we've done a lot of work in terms of even cleaning up Newtown, working with the Honorable Senator Jaizea. We continue to work on the syndicate trails, the cabrits. In terms of dive, our dive is still one of the best in the world, top 10 in the world. Only a few of our sites close to shore have been impacted, but all of the other sites are open. All of our, I think out of 10 operators, only one is not operating, and hopefully at some point they will redo. But Dominica is still a pristine area for dive, and we continue to work on that. In terms of hiking, Dominica is still one of the best places for hiking. Unfortunately, the White Kubuli National Trail has its challenges, and as you know, it stems from one part of the island until the other part. But I want to thank some of the hotels, because what we've done is to embrace all of the hotels, embrace all of the stakeholders, and work with them. So back in 2011, when the concept of the White Kubuli National Trail was being discussed, part of the vision was that the hotels would each take up one of those trails, one of the segments, and take care of it. And I'm happy to say that sometimes it takes these catastrophic events to move things in the right direction. So right now, I want to thank Fort Young Hotel for taking up segment 3. We negotiations with Secret Bay to take care of section 10, Tambourine Tree Hotel for taking up section 11, Range Development for taking up section 12, and Mango Cottages for taking up segment 13. So all of these hotels are currently have volunteer tourism packages where persons come to Dominica, they take them on the trail, the Waitikobuli National Trail staff show them how to use the chainsaws and the cutlasses and stuff like that, and they go into these areas as a tourism product and they help to clean the trail. So we need more persons on board to do that, and we need the tour guides on board, and even see other local walking groups. I can't remember the name right now, but I know Brohim, Mr. Ibrahim Brohim is one of these people, and they walk, Duvayers. They walk on some of those trails and they make sure they continue to clean those trails so that not only they can enjoy, but other persons can continue to enjoy it. We've begun our visits, another round of visits with all of the hotels to understand where they're at and how they're moving forward, because right after the storm, we only had about 20% of our room stock. And as you can well imagine, many hotels had to lay off persons. But as of today, we're back to 40. We're up to 43% of our room stock in terms of hotels that have reopened their rooms, and they continue to work. And we're hoping that by the end of the year, we should be up to 60, 70, 80%. And we encourage them again to use the loan facility at 2% for a 15-year repayment period or 1-year grace period at the aid bank, so that they can upgrade their properties and again to be ready. In terms of, I want to assure the tourism stakeholders, all of the stakeholders, that all is not lost. These are challenging times, but the Ministry of Tourism, the government of Dominica is fully committed in terms of working to put tourism back to where it was. And I want to say to you, despite of the false claims you hear from the other side, despite the false claims that you hear on some of these talk shows, they are totally false, and that's why they don't give you figures. For example, after Tropical Storm Erica, we changed things. We got new market representatives. We upgraded our marketing plans, again, to make sure that our stakeholders are best taken care of. And I dare say to you, for the period January to August 2016, compared to January to August 2017, we had increased the number of stayover visitors in Dominica by over 10%. That is a record for Dominica, Mr. Speaker. And again, it was also confirmed by the Dominica Hotel Association that during that same time, the hotel occupancy rate was the highest it has ever been in the history of Dominica. Excuse me? What figures would you like? Excuse me? 60%, ma'am. So I just want to say that despite all of the challenges, the Ministry of Tourism is committed and will continue to work smart. As we speak right now, the Air Access Committee is sitting and working to ensure that we improve on our flights, and especially working on the direct flight from Florida. In terms of community tourism, we continue to support all the various community tourism groups to ensure that all of the areas are ready for tourism. The Kalinago Barana Ote, in terms of re-roofing the entire property, rehabilitation of the Tibo Bat Cave, the Mero community, the Pays in Portsmouth, the Portsmouth Association of Yachts and Security Services. We had to assist them in terms of redoing the entire jetty, and we're hoping that next year we can do a proper one. We're also working with the Newtown community so that we can have, instead of having Pays in Portsmouth, you're going to have Nays in Newtown, and hopefully you can have Says in Soufriere and Scotted, all to improve and to increase the number of sites that yachties can come to Dominica and have proper mooring facilities and jetty facilities, so that instead of just going straight to Portsmouth, they can stop in the Soufriere Mooring Reserve, they can stop in Newtown, they can stop in Mero, and they can stop in Portsmouth, and they also stop in Tukari. Therefore, all persons throughout the communities begin to benefit from the tourism dollar. And that is what really community tourism is all about. It's to ensure that the money is spread throughout the communities in Dominica and everybody benefits from it. So we continue to work in the yachting sector. In terms of cruise, A lot of work has been done with regards to crews. We've done a lot of work in terms of speaking with the various sectors, having them come down to see what we had done so far. Even when we thought what we had was sufficient, when they came down, they came with different eyes, and we had to put things in place to make sure everything is done right now. As you can see, we had to do temporary works in terms of the cruise port, and that is being done right now. But I dare say, many persons always say they want Carnival Cruise Lines to come back to Dominica. That was one of the cruise lines that made everybody happy. They spent a lot more money in Dominica. And I want to confirm that Carnival Cruise Lines has confirmed that they will be here. 2 ships two visited in July, 2 visits in August, 2 visits in September, 3 in October, and 1 in November. What this signals is that before we had cruise lines coming during the summer months, we now will be getting that back. They had to move back to July because of the storm, but I dare say that we are moving in the right direction. So I want to say to the stakeholders that don't be worried, we are moving in the right direction to help you. I listened to the minister, the opposition leader, and he was talking about the distribution of relief items. And I want to say that there's no Dominican who is not aware that the relief items came from donor agencies, and it also came from the government of Dominica. But what many of the persons asked us, who organized all of this to make it happen? And obviously it had to be the caretaker who organized to make these things happen. Mr. Speaker, I remember many persons were complaining that they weren't getting supplies properly. I took it upon myself as a caring individual. And that's the most important thing. If you genuinely care, you're going to do things to make sure your people are taken care of. So when I heard that my people of the Roseland Central community were crying that they were not getting goods, I took it upon myself, despite all the looting that was going on, I made sure that the goods came to a central area. Again, to make sure that nobody was taken from it, I myself offloaded all of these trucks with one other person. Again, because I care and because I want as many persons to benefit from the goods and supplies that came from our donors and came from the coffers of the government of Dominica. Persons made very ridiculous comments. They said, oh, some of these members were taking the goods and they were bringing it and delivering it at night to give to who they wanted to go. But that is total nonsense. Guess what? A significant amount of people work. If you bring the goods for them during working hours, how are they going to get it? Therefore, the best time to bring out the goods were in the evening. But again, we realized there were still certain flaws with that. So guess what we did? We had a central distribution area. Unlike the other members who were supposed to have a parliamentary office, we actually had a physical location where persons knew that on a Monday, a Tuesday, and a Wednesday, certain streets could have gone there. So the whole issue of saying that only certain persons could get, everybody knew what day was for them, and again, we made sure that as many persons receive the relief supplies that the donors had sent to Dominica. So I just want to say to them again that you listen to them. A lot of what they say is not true, but the government of Dominica is committed. The Ministry of Tourism is committed to doing what is required in the best interest of our people and of our stakeholders. Thank you very much. I thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to make my contribution and to support the supplementary appropriation bill for the period July 2017 to December 2017. Mr. Speaker, I've said before, and I'm saying it again, that anything positive, any initiative seeking to enhance Dominica's socio-economic development, especially any proposal, spending, or initiative seeking to help the people of Dominica, I will support it. Mr. Speaker, my support must be seen in the context of post-Maria. In that regard, I would like to highlight some key appropriation lines in the interest of time. Let me just say that under the Ministry of Employment, where we have $5 million appropriated for the procurement of relief supplies and also for cash for work through the NEP program. Without reservation, I must support such an initiative by the government. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity also to thank members of the private sector and members of the constituency of Roseau Central who helped and facilitated the PALREP, that's yours truly, in bringing relief to the people of Roseau. We actually, I just want to put it on the public record, because we never really talk about it, even on radio, where we brought in privately and personally approximately 2 full container loads of relief supplies for the people of Roseau Central, in which the PALREP, Honorable Joseph Isaac, actually had to pay for freight and to pay for other duties, not duties, but freight and other items, service charges, etc., on the port. That was just to show, and at the time, I was talking to my colleagues on the other side, saying that that is what we need to do. So what I did, Mr. Speaker, when we made contact with our contact in Guadeloupe and in the US, and they showed confidence in me, I said, you know what, let me take some money from my account, my personal account, and to talk to some members in the private sector to help me pay the freight. And we did that. Then I mobilized now on the ground guys in the constituency to help deliver to different houses. Unfortunately, on the private matter, we did not have enough, so we delivered approximately 700 packages in the city of Roseau, Mr. Speaker. I also would like to commend, at the time, the Minister of Tourism and Urban Renewal for his efforts. Because again, and I said it before in the House, I would never criticize a man from the city as a PALREP for Roseau. So again, I commend the Honorable Tong for the effort. So, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, sorry, I must support such initiative. Mr. Speaker, when we move to the subline item under the Ministry of Agriculture, $820,344. That is for the development and support of the pork and poultry industry. Mr. Speaker, you and maybe the Prime Minister and members on the other side know of my passion for agriculture. So without any reservation, I would like to again support such an initiative and to commend the members of Cabinet for moving in such a direction. But I won't stop here only, Mr. Speaker. I think members of Cabinet, we need to work tirelessly to develop the entire value chain of this subsector. It will redound to the creation of new jobs and have a major impact on import substitution in the area of chicken and pork. And therefore, I'll be giving my unwavering support for such an initiative when the Minister of Agriculture, as we know, is the new Minister of Agriculture, so he'll be coming with new energies, a different perspective, and a different angle of leadership, so we'll be giving him his full support, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I know the members on the other side, they're taking all my comments in wrong context. If you go in the Hansard, Mr. Speaker, you will realize that every time I would say this is a good initiative, however, we need to work on this, we need to work on that, I'm still saying that as we have a new Minister of Agriculture, we will work on things together. Under the Ministry of Tourism and Ministry of Public Works, Mr. Speaker, loans were given to support DASPA. We know DASPA is a focal point for entry of tourists and for goods coming in and out of Dominica. So again, without reservation, I must support that. But I do not want, you see, they like to go on Q95 and say what they want. So I do not want them to say, because I support these line items, I did not support the others. I said in the interest of time, let me highlight some line items, Mr. Speaker. Also, there have been refurbishment of the EC Low Block Bridge. Mr. Speaker, you see, my style in politics is not a type of PR style. My style is on the ground, quiet. Mr. Speaker, during the refurbishment of the EC Low Block Bridge, I'll be on that bridge talking to the contractor and even looking at how the paint is being done and everything. I was a part and parcel of the project while it was being implemented. I want to again congratulate the government for doing that because I represented it in Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, the river wall, the guys will tell you that while they were doing the river wall, it is not completed yet. They're doing some finishing work. I'll be there with them, talking to them on a daily basis, asking them how it is going, asking them about the technology they're using, asking them where else can it be used. And in some instances, even offering refreshment, Mr. Speaker, on the ground, undercover, Mr. Speaker. That's what a PAL rep is supposed to do. Again, I would like to welcome the initiative by the government that is before I joined that side, where we had major cleanup in Roseau. That again, I'd be on the ground, talking to some of the people, I won't call their names, even buying liquor tools, even giving refreshment. That is what a person who genuinely cares for people do. But Mr. Speaker, work continues. I just have about 12 days, 13 about that, taking the portfolio of minister. So what I've done so far, I've focused on the Forestry division because I think that the forest is one of Dominica's major assets. It has impact on our watershed. It has impact on the tourism product. It has impact on just our own living in Dominica. So I focused on that, and what we have done so far, we had an internal consultation in which we brought back some of the retired officers to meet with the officers who are currently in office and to discuss and bounce ideas. We also invited people from the VRP, from ECU, and all the different people, technical people across the board. We expect by this week, there'll be a revised action plan on my desk through the PS so that we can move on it. So you'll see work happening in the forest. And I've had discussions with the Prime Minister for his opinion and endorsement on certain matters. So that will unfold and we'll talk about that. We have also strengthened and revamped the cleanup of Roseau, which started last week again, where we are doing it through the City Council, Mr. Speaker. I've met with several department heads and I've discussed the urgency of implementation. And while I'm on the urgency of implementation, I heard the leader of opposition said that I criticized and I said certain things about implementation. Whether I'm on the opposition side or on the government side, I always speak the truth, but in an objective way. So I'm saying there is room for improvement in regards to drawing down on funds of several projects that the government is involved in. and we'll agree that we face a major challenge across the board, both in the private sector and the public sector, in regards to the capacity. And that is why implementation have been a major challenge in Dominica. And we see evidence of that in the construction industry post-Maria. So nobody can say that we don't have that challenge. And that is why I know my colleagues and even the Prime Minister have spoken about getting support from overseas. So it's not a secret, and it's not something where you have to be hoping that the government fails. That is why I said yesterday, you need members of the opposition and even the public, you need to come to us. Let's work together. But Mr. Speaker, I want to talk on some observations from yesterday to today on the section dealing with that appropriation bill. Yesterday, Senator Isaac Baptist insinuated certain negative things about my selfless mission to help my country. I won't repeat it. The opposition UWP, their acolytes, some of their good friends, and they term something. I want the members on that side, on the government side, to hear the term, especially Honorable Forestry. They term something, and I'm the leader of opposition to hear it, you know. Their dirty tricks department. You know what I'm saying, you? Their dirty tricks department. You see what they have? Something I never want to be part of. So their dirty tricks department have tried to hack my computer, send people to set me up through trying to have conversations with me, pretending to be somebody else, and bringing it on the public record to try to embarrass me. They have heard that, you know. And I called the Attorney General seeking guidance. They have sought to illegally invade my privacy in an effort to damage my reputation because they don't like the 99% statesman, 1% politician. But you see, I told them, you know, not the opposition only. I'm a man, I like to be objective. But people must understand, I'm a Roseau man, River Street. I can defend myself, but I want Oshu to defend me too, you know. You understand? Honorable Minister Oshu. So when my mother is 82 years, you know, she brought her Bible and bring it there this morning. And she gave me the Bible. And she said, Zico, I'm not sure how long I'm going to be there with you. But all what they're doing with you there, just every morning prayer. Do just pray. Now, the members of the opposition know how I am in my heart. They know I'm a man. If I'm with you, I'm with you. So now I'm with the Prime Minister and the government. But you're not going to cry, right? No, man. No, when I cried in the inauguration, can you remember the old man? I remember the man. The man was a labor stalwart. And I think at the time, if he was there, he'd really be happy. You understand? So I felt that, you know, we were so close, you know. So I felt that emotional thing. But you know, they went on Facebook and all kind of thing, and they said it is because they called me some funny name. But I never like to talk negative. So I'm not going to repeat that. But Mr. Speaker, through you, Mr. Speaker, now, having faced all that blows and just taking it as a man, I think as a person with a scientific background, I think every time a person needs to make decision and form an opinion, the person needs to have the facts and the context. So I'm now placing on this parliamentary record, Mr. Speaker, that the letter I referred to in my address to the nation on April 4th, 2018, that letter to the opposition leader received under confidential cover is now, from today, effectively declassified as confidential. Because you see, Mr. Speaker, you see, you have to be scientific. You need information. Nice. You see, distracted pala. Distracted pajodila. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you see, I've had many friends, and I've kept all my friends. For example, Honorable Kenneth Daru and I go way back. But for the interest of the team, I saw we get a little opening. So we had him. So I tried something. Yeah, man, nice. But hear that? When I spoke to Austria on his side, his Honorable Forestry, Minister Forestry, he said, boy, I not getting involved in you and Kenneth thing because I know you make back. Blows on me. All right. So I'm saying that to say, I wrote the opposition leader a year ago. I'm not trying to use content of the letter and try to hurt him or embarrass him. Maybe if, let's, for example, key advisor undercover in my home ask me a question, I might give you a little sip, sure. But I'm not going to tell you the content of the letter. Carte blanche. You understand? But people are trying to hurt me on the radio, insinuating certain things about me that you know that is not Joseph Isaac, and you're supporting it by staying silent and sending your dirty chick department on me. Come on. So now I've declassified this letter. Now I can't tell him what to do, but I'm placing on a public record that the opposition leader can discuss with anybody, show the letter to anybody, discuss the full content to anybody, with anybody, and publish it in full anywhere. Joseph Isaac, not a nom deba, and I'm not a hater. I'm not trying to hurt him, but he's not defending me and protecting me. He knows that I've been genuine with him. But he's not genuine with me. He's not trying anything to protect my image. And even members on the other side, because they don't know the content, some of them still call with me. Call with me. I'm not even saying what one told me. But I think, no, let them bat first innings. No, something that's not in the letter. No, something that's not in the letter, Mr. Speaker. Remember, we're talking about issue of leadership and remember supplementary estimate. So in supplementary estimate, the opposition leader was saying, well, certain things supposed to happen because of proper leadership, financial leadership and all that. Okay, fair enough. We might disagree with what he said. But something I've always told the opposition while I was a member on their side. People don't know the pain I went through, you know. I told them that when we come to parliament, everybody should be in parliament. You have a team, Labour Party administration have an edge because they have 20 members, 2021, but I move across now, so more. All right. No. No. If you have 10 members, hear me well, you know I like to be objective on a matter. And I'm talking, Mr. Speaker, I'm talking to the public now through you. You have only 10 members. The state is paying you to be in parliament. 10, you have 10 members. One is overseas on assignment working. So you're down to 9. You just had a delegates conference where you're supposed to be energized. You come in there and, well, we don't even need calculator. You come in there with one walked out. So we can say with 3 members out of 10 and your deputy not in the house. But these are the things people don't know I was going through, and I always keep telling them about that. And and I want to use it, I have to use one word. And they want to call me crook. Boss, I use all my brain cells to try to add value. But look at it. 3 members, their deputy leader out of the house. No, let me give a last statement. And that is to Dominica. And well, no, you are strength. But no, that's my girl. Yeah. Okay. My last comment, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I agree that leadership is everything. See something, just listen to me well. The Prime Minister had a discussion with me, inviting me So yes, Mr. Speaker. So the Prime Minister had a discussion with me, inviting me to join cabinet. So then the Prime Minister went and he negotiate and discuss and with members of cabinet. And I get the little sips, guys say, well, yes, and so the Prime Minister showed that as a leader, he has influence. He can convince his members that is the right thing to do. Some people might have reservation, so maybe obviously he'll discuss with them and they say, oh yeah, man, I see with you, yeah, I agree. And then they welcome me with open arms. Remember, you must, and I'm talking to the public there for you. But Mr. Speaker, now, on the other side, I'm fully aware as to the nature and relationship between the Honorable Danny Lugay and the Honorable Lennox Linton. They are tight. No, hear me well, hear me well. No, listen and learn something. Listen and learn something. So they are tight. Hear that, But leadership we're talking about. So they are very tight. Playing music when let's say when they go funeral, they're playing music together, going all about together. Then now, Danny is nominated to be deputy leader of the party. But the leader of opposition doesn't have the influence to convince the delegates that is a good man, that is the man we want. Can you imagine that? And see what happens. The party, I'm talking about leadership under supplementary. Nice. So, Mr. Speaker, so here it is. I'm not saying that Joshua Francis is a bad guy. But I'm saying that the party took a decision on Joshua Francis. But the context have to be important. Nothing in the context have changed. And you have a man who is a two-term serving parliamentarian, and you're rejecting him 40-something to 80-something. Huh?
You
understand? No,
order,
it's about influence.
Member.
It's about influence.
Member.
Yes.
Member, please.
Yes.
You have 3 more minutes.
Yes, Mr.
Mr. Speaker.
Okay, I wronged enough now.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Honourable Minister be granted an additional 10 minutes to complete his presentation on the supplementary appropriation.
It has been moved and seconded that the Honourable Minister be given a further 10 minutes to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. You may continue.
So, Mr. Speaker, when you want, there is no perfect country, you know. So we'll always have challenges. Even in the US, even when I was working for Colgate, you always have implementation challenges. So I'm saying to my colleagues, we have to really focus on the issue of implementation. You know, I've spoken to the Minister of Agriculture, and I know you have a good vision for agriculture. Yes, we have to work together. You understand? Because you see, we cannot, this old-time politics, where because somebody have a difference in opinion, or man hitting you blows on one side, you have to take it personal. You cannot take it personal. Because if you cannot go and talk to the Minister of Finance on behalf of your constituency, so that you can get the support, if you stay in a way, or you don't have a good relationship, you cannot effectively represent. Exactly. The Prime Minister would tell you that I've come to him before, you know, we never talk politics. He'll maybe burst a little joke, make a little joke in between. But we never talk politics. When I come, I talk about Roseau. And interestingly, before Maria, I went to the Prime Minister and the Honorable McIntyre was with him, and we were talking about issues of Roseau. What we really needed. We spoke about the sports in Roseau. We discussed whether or not we can utilize the section where the Chinese just erect the facility for doing the hospital, for the facility to house them while they are doing the hospital. And we say, can we look at an alternative of doing something in the botanical gardens? We spoke also about the full development of the botanical gardens. And, you know, God really knows everything because, look, now, right now, I'm the minister responsible for the botanical gardens. So we spoke about that. You know, I spoke to him about other members on my side coming to him. And he said, well, if the guy's serious, I'm open to meet. But see what happens. Every time I go to him, if somebody see me coming from the financial center, they say, hey, what happened? You go in financial center, man. No. It's as if you should not go and speak to the Minister of Finance. So we just have the wrong culture in this country. And I think, and I want to place it on the public record, the Prime Minister and the leader of opposition both have a responsibility to change the culture.
That's it.
So my little discussion there on the record of Parliament about the opposition is in effect going on public record advising the leader of opposition to take care of his team and lead his team effectively. Now to the supporters of the United Workers' Party. I have not tried to hurt the United Workers' Party because I think we need that opposition in the country. So I have not tried to go and try to hurt. But I'm asking all right-thinking Dominicans, whether you support the Labour Party before or the United Workers' Party before, there is a new paradigm shift in the politics in Dominica. The Prime Minister have endorsed it, a nationalistic approach to development. I'm asking you to come on board. come on board, there is space for everybody to contribute. And then, but after I finish today, they will not talk about money now. Because now you can ask your leader for you to remember about transparency. Let me tell you my platform. My platform in politics have always been, I come in to help people, and I'm not in politics forever. There are other people, their platform has been, let me go on that side first. The Prime Minister platform has been, I'm there to help people. Then on the other side, the leader of opposition platform has always been integrity and transparency. So everybody have their platform. So I'm saying, right now, since the letter is declassified, you need to now go and ask now, hey, I want to see.
So Danny, do you have a copy then?
No, you have copy. Remember the leaders hiding on the confidentiality clauses.
Deputy leader?
No, none of them know that. Well, he said he didn't show it to them. So now, for transparency and integrity, that is the platform of the leader of opposition, you now can see why I made the decision. But I'm not even going to say anything on the public record about the content of the letter. But all I'm saying to all of us in here, let us work together. And parliamentarians, don't hide. Come to the Minister of Finance. Come to the ministers. That's what I was doing when I was on the opposition side. Oh, and the last part I want to talk about. When I went to the bridge opening, I even forget to talk about that, but my constituents told me to talk about it. When I went to the bridge opening, we never on the opposition side had any discussion to say we're not going. So as the PAL rep for Roseau, I decided that is in the best interest of Roseau. You cannot have $18 million being spent in your constituency and you're absent and you have a business open. What would people think of me? That means I'll be not doing my duties that I'm being paid to do. So I said no. Just like in the time of Mike Douglas, when he actually went to the opening of the cruise ship berth in Portsmouth, and some of his supporters were telling him not to go. You know what happened after? The Honorable Ian Douglas, his son, ended up being the Minister of Tourism, benefiting from the same cruise ship berth. And see what happened to me? In less than a year after Maria, the other bridges got damaged, and the one that they wanted me to boycott, it stood up. No. Again, let me maintain my objectivity. At the time I said, I have no problem and I welcome development in Roseau. I had an issue with the process. But with the process, there were some group or organization dealing with the process. That wasn't my remit to go and deal with the process. My remit was to represent the people of Roseau. What's good for them? And in life, everything is a learning process for the government and for the opposition. And for Dominica, be careful what you criticize and how you do it. Last piece again. You see, interestingly, when I was on the other side, they interviewed me and they asked me, well, the Prime Minister decided that he wanted to reallocate funds. I think it was the small business funds to do some other initiative. And I said at the time that I don't have the overall picture. He's the Minister of Finance. He has the legal authority to do such. I came under blows for that. But see it again. Now I'm a minister now. I seen a bigger picture than when I was a PAL rep. So now I'm seeing that the public support program, somebody came to me and they say, well, I need some help because I'm at a certain stage in cancer. From then, now, my whole thinking about the public support program has changed. So that is why, as a professional, you always have to be careful what you say and how you say it. You understand? So I am happy that this government, which I'm part of, has brought legislation to institutionalize such a social issue. You understand me? The rapid response legislation. And I'm asking members of the opposition and Dominicans in general, be responsible. I mean, everybody have their politics, but be responsible when we say things. Another thing is the NEP. Again, you hear what I've said before. I've said that it is a temporary measure. I think the Honorable Ian Douglas have said that too. I think members of cabinet and even the opposition, we have to see how we can move that initiative and push it through the productive sector. That's why I think the Minister of Agriculture is so important in such an initiative. And we look at other productive sector initiatives. I think also the last point I want to make, I think the private sector, I spoke to a member of the private sector and I told him my sentiments on the matter, that I think the private sector in Dominica is too involved in buy and sell. We'll have to, and I'm talking through the Prime Minister there, we'll have to find a way where if the current private sector cannot do it, we would like to call on those overseas and those, the younger ones in Dominica, to see how we can come up with some innovative product. Because we really don't have time to be wasting trying to see how we can absorb the NEP employees. We have to get a way to stimulate the private sector and to get new blood in the private sector. You know, so it will be some innovative strategy. I think the opposition need to come on board with that and give their ideas how first to do it. Because if again we on board, all of us on board, less stress, and we can move it quick in a post-Maria period. I would like to now finally wind up and to say that together, regardless of what I have discussed and said, I'm saying it in the interest of the opposition, because we need an opposition. That together, let us work together so that Dominica can be in a better place. And I give my full support to the supplementary estimate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let me go. Finish.
Well, let us first.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a brief, make some brief comments on the supplementary appropriation before this Honorable House. This supplementary appropriation from July 2017 to December 2017. Mr. Speaker, before going into July 2017, I want to say though that in June of 2017, Mr. Speaker, I think the government of Dominica at this time, we were well on our way, Mr. Speaker, with a well laid out outline plan as to what we were going to do in this country, how we were going to achieve some of the things that we wanted to see, the complete transformation of this country. Among these things were improvement of our road network. And we remember all my colleagues, we were all excited with our estimates and how we were going to eliminate all dirt roads across the country and do all our secondary roads, and money was already flowing through the Ministry of Public Works, through the Ministry of Constituency Empowerment. You know, we were well on our way, Mr. Speaker, and there was excitement. Mr. Speaker, we were moving very swiftly with the eradication of pit toilets across the country. And I need not say much about the pit toilets because they are still very evident for all of us, the concrete toilets, for all of us to see in spite of the devastation. Improvement in our housing condition, especially to our marginalized.
We are very much aware of the housing revolution that started with this Labour Party administration, and we were moving really rapidly with it. We were also moving very swiftly to reduce unemployment through the National Employment Program and improvement of our sports facility, just to name a few of the initiatives that we were moving with, and we felt very comfortable at that point. But Mr. Speaker, we are all aware that was June. Mr. Speaker, a few months down the line, we were struck by Hurricane Maria. And it is obvious, Mr. Speaker, that at that point, we had to stop and redirect our focus. Mr. Speaker, in so doing, let us just look at our family structure. Sometimes we sit at home, we plan to build a house, we plan to buy a refrigerator, we plan so many things in our house at home for us to accomplish. We want to improve our lives at home, and so we plan in. But Mr. Speaker, here comes a family member who is ill, has to go overseas for medical, or an accident, or any little problem within that family that is going to incur some financial debt on the family. Mr. Speaker, that family must stop and change their priority. It's obvious. It's no different in running a country, Mr. Speaker. And so, on the 18th of September, when we woke up to, on the 19th of September, when we woke up to the destruction of Maria, we had to do just that as a government. And for a government not to, at this time, think of redirecting, something had to be wrong. Obviously, had to be wrong. But Mr. Speaker, I listened to some members of the opposition. I don't really like to spend much of my energy on negative things. But however, talking about, but we had just gone into budget and we now go into new spending, but Mr. Speaker, regardless to how much we planned, like every family is supposed to have a disaster plan, every institution is supposed to have a disaster plan, the country is supposed to have a disaster plan. But we will appreciate the magnitude of damage that we suffered as a result of Maria. I am not sure if there is any plan that could have absorbed that could have provided resources to deal with the effect of that hurricane, Mr. Speaker. I am really not sure. So, however, we had to review our priority, and for us, our priority became housing, and more housing. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, we had to look at infrastructural issues, because we knew that it took us well over 3 weeks to drive from Grand Bay into Roseau. I did not come into Roseau because I refused to walk over the amount of trees that were across the road and all the slides. So it took me about 3 weeks to get into Roseau to begin to fight for my people. But I stayed on the ground with them in the Grand Bay constituency. Mr. Speaker, we had to look at, yes, we looked at the roads. We had to create access, Mr. Speaker. We had to clean and clear. And so all the monies that we had to go into washrooms and all the monies that we had to go into the roads that we wanted to improve, we had to now sit and redirect those funds, Mr. Speaker. And so I want to make a little relation with the previous estimates, supplementary appropriation that we had as it relates to constituency empowerment. Because prior to that, Mr. Speaker, almost every community or village council on the island had monies either from public works, from housing, from constituency empowerment for one project or the other. And the $3 million that was for like 18 or so constituencies, Mr. Speaker, across the island had money at their disposal. And so the various, the Ministry of Finance had to ask for a halt in that money until we redirect the use of those funds into what became our priority, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, we were happy that those monies were available in the constituencies because we will well appreciate the procedure for accessing funds in the public sector, in the public sector, Mr. Speaker. And so sometimes it delays some of the activities that we would want to undertake. And so we had the opportunity very early to begin to respond to some of the needs within the constituency, clearing. Mr. Speaker, we had to look at other social issues. There was need for food. There was need for clothing. There was need for water. There was need to now concentrate on trying to prevent diseases at the time. So definitely we had to have all hands on deck and to use all available resources to make sure that we did nothing at all aggravated the situation on this island, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just like Honorable Isaac said, I remember the day after the hurricane, that was the Wednesday morning. Madam Speaker, when I went into the Grand Bay constituency, one of the first things I did, having seen the extent of damage and realizing that our food sector, all our plants were down, one of the first things I did was to go in some of the shops and just to pick up and make sure I had a stock at my home. So that, Madam Speaker, if any constituent at that time would be in crisis as it relates to food, Madam Speaker, I could lend a hand, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I did not go to the Prime Minister to ask for money to pay it. I paid it. These are my constituents. And our government remains a caring government. We have to care for people. Madam Speaker, you do not have to be in government to do a simple thing like that. Madam Speaker, when we woke up the morning after the hurricane, all of us should put up our boots and go out there and see what we can do to help people. We cannot wait for government to call us or invite us for us to understand we have to do something to touch and improve the lives of the people that were in a serious state of shock, dismay. Some people were anxious, some people were depressed, some people were in different moods at that time, Madam Speaker. And so, as caring parliamentarians, we ought to be outside there trying to help these people. Madam Speaker, and so I want to really extend and give my full support to the monies that was spent, Madam Speaker, on purchasing food to ensure that our people had food to eat months after the hurricane, even before we started producing the sweet potatoes and the short-term crops, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, it is obvious that after having gotten that blow from Maria, not having budgeted for something that you did not expect, and using funds to do that, Madam Speaker, I'm not sure why anybody would want to speak against such action, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, I endorse and give my full support to all the monies that was spent, Madam Speaker, in ensuring that our people had food to survive and so that their well-being could be maintained. Madam Speaker, as I look also, we remembered, even after Maria, some of our constituents across the island, people said, because government had just taken a decision to make contribution to the international institutions. We remember that clearly. And that is in the tune of $2.4 million. And I remember after Maria, our people said, ask them to send back the money for us, because they realized, look, we are in dire situation and we need the money. But Madam Speaker, that was a brilliant move by the Prime Minister at the time, brilliant move. In spite of our economic situation, we saw it fit to send out money to assist countries that were affected. Madam Speaker, these are countries where we have residents. Our people are out there in St. Thomas, in Cuba, in Antigua, in St. Kitts, in Nevis. These are our neighboring countries. And we have Dominicans in those countries. And even if we did not have Dominicans in those countries, Madam Speaker, out of humanitarian ground, it is just fair that somebody is affected and we reach out to them. Madam Speaker, we were happy after Maria that so many countries came to our rescue. And so having sent that $2.5 million at that time, that was a brilliant move by the Honorable Prime Minister. That is leadership. That is leadership and foresight, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the second item on the supplementary appropriation I want to raise is the Farmers Emergency Response Fund. $18.8 million, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, while it is true like anything else, because I think after Maria, there's a lot that we have to learn. Even after having met, while I met with the disaster committee, Mr. Regis, who is part of the disaster committee, and Senator Regis, we looked at all of the shortfalls post-Maria. And Madam Speaker, there are many lessons that we have to learn as a result of what happened after that hurricane, Madam Speaker. And so we knew there were things that were not going too well, but we could not delay providing that level of support to our farmers, because we recognize the need for investing in the farmers so that they can pick up and begin to produce for our well-being, Madam Speaker. And so that funds were made available. And Madam Speaker, in spite of all what has been said, many of the farmers in my constituency have injected some of those monies into farming, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's just fear that they are human and everybody going through crises. And sometimes they may use for little things. Some people bought some galvanized because at the time, while it is true they may want to do some farming, they spend some into the farming. Some got 10,000. But they also cover their house, which really is of the pressure on the government as it relates to housing. Because housing was a priority, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, I think this $18.8 million, it was well given out. It was well spent. People really made use of the money. And granted that some farmers, our bona fide farmers, fell short. But, Madam Speaker, they will be taken care of. I can reassure them, and I've reassured my farmers in the Grand Bay constituency that we as government will do what we have to do to ensure that we can assist them and take them where they want to, Madam Speaker, in terms of their farming. So, Madam Speaker, the next thing we have there, National Emergency Potable Water Rapid Response Program. Madam Speaker, water is life. Water is life. And Madam Speaker, you know what? After Hurricane Maria, that's the time many of us learned to appreciate things that we took for granted. We took electricity for granted. We took water for granted. We took our well-being for granted. We wasted food, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we just did things prior to Hurricane Maria. But now we recognize the importance of all of those services and those facilities, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, $5.2 million. Well, we know it's not even enough, because I know I'm waiting for the WASCO to begin to rehabilitate my water system.
He has a phone that is off close to a mic. The person may not have a phone off.
And so, Madam Speaker,
but the mere idea that it may be on vibrate may be affecting the...
And so, Madam Speaker, $5.2 million to go towards assisting with water is well deserving, Madam Speaker, because we need water. And all of us, where water has not been fully restored, are waiting patiently for us to have that restoration of water. Because we need it. Everything that you do, you require water, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, there is no doubt that the money was really necessary. We had to spend it. Finally, Madam Speaker, the installation of Bailey Bridge. As I said earlier, access to Grand Bay was a problem, was a great challenge. Not even within the constituency, it is still a challenge for me, especially as I can make mention of in fact, I had a gauge. I said it was Honorable Saint Jean alone who had a gauge when he had the daily situation after Erica. But I have one now by the Grand Bay Primary School, from the village to the Grand Bay School. And Madam Speaker, if we spend money, $13 million, towards Bailey Bridges to ensure that there is access from one point to another, Madam Speaker, I will definitely give that my full support. Among that, Madam Speaker, is the Geneva Bridge. the Geneva Bridge, Madam Speaker, just by the playing field. And this bridge it's been there for, in fact, since I know myself, it's been there for many, many years. And Madam Speaker, there is failure of that bridge from time to time. So definitely, and vehicles continue to traverse that area, and so there is need for replacing it. And so we are looking towards that work commencing in the near future. Madam Speaker, as we speak, preparatory work has already started in the Highland area, so that the base can be established and then the belly bridge can be placed. They are presently at Fixation, Honorable Darrow?
Yes, yes.
Fixation, and from Fixation, they will be in Grand Bay installing the bridge to Highland. So I want to say to my folks at Highland, yes, I understand your challenge. They claim there has been, the economic activity has been reduced, which is obvious. I mean, I can understand, and that is true. But I can say to them, at least they've seen work started, and I am hoping that, in fact, I've been given the assurance by the minister that before Isidore, we will have access to Highland so that at least vehicles can go to the primary school. Okay? So, Madam Speaker, having said all of that, I do not think there is any reason for me to doubt the intelligence of the Minister of Finance and the staff of the Ministry of Finance and the Cabinet for allowing us to use those funds for those reasons, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we were able to redirect quite a bit of those funds into the areas of priority, which I think any wise person leading a country would do just that. And I know, Madam Speaker, those monies were well spent. We saw the results of those monies, Madam Speaker. And so I just want to say to my constituents, on Friday, in fact, Madam Speaker, I want to take the opportunity to extend invitation to all of those in Grand Bay that will be signing contracts for housing. I do not want to raise the figure. We'll leave that to the Minister of Finance. But we'll be signing a huge sum of money towards housing construction in the Grand Bay constituency. So on Friday at 4 o'clock, we'll be having a very big ceremony. And I know my constituents are looking forward. Presently, they have been invited. All of the beneficiaries will be invited to the function. And so, Madam Speaker, when our supplementary appropriation reaches before me in Parliament to support those kind of moves, there is no reason for me to even question it, for me to doubt it, and for me to stand against it. Because these are areas that we definitely have to give priority to. And so I want to commend the Minister of Finance, I want to commend his staff, and I want to commend the Cabinet for the brilliance, for the objectivity, the prudent management of the money. All I am asking is that, for example, we get our reports on time so that there can be reconciliation on the monies that are given and the spending. That's all, Madam Speaker. But outside of that, I can say to you, I have no reservation in giving my full support to the supplementary appropriation presented to this Honorable House. Thank you very much.
Go and check at your office.
Madam Speaker, it is with confidence in the visionary leader of this Labour Party government, Dr. the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, that I stand to voice my unwavering support for the schedule of supplementary appropriation before this Honorable House. Madam Speaker, as a senator and a minister in this Labour Party government, I am well aware of the challenges facing our island and its people. Further, Madam Speaker, I know of the success stories of this Roosevelt-led government as a result of the expenditures that we are here to defend today. In fact, at 9 a.m. this morning, I accompanied the Honorable Prime Minister to a meeting with a UN agency. And prior to that meeting, after being introduced to that official, the first thing I was told was, I am amazed at the amount that this government has done to date. But Madam Speaker, if you think about it, I am not special in this regard. All members of this Honorable House have a legal, ethical, moral responsibility to have access to all of the information I am privy to. And those people who will sit in here and pretend not to know those facts are people who are not being honest with the people and are not taking their responsibility as parliamentarians in this Honorable House. So, Madam Speaker, armed with those facts and the truths, I am willing to speak of the wondrous works of the Lord through the Roosevelt-Skerrit-led administration and recognize that because of petty politics, those on the other side of the House will pretend not to realize that this Labour Party government is working, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, I find myself in a situation yet again where I find it necessary to speak and defend the supplementary estimates before this Honorable House. We are here today to submit and defend programs and expenditures that this Labour Party implemented in quick time, Madam Speaker, in quick time, following the devastation to our beautiful island. In short, this Labour Party government has been doing what we do best, taking care of business, Madam Speaker, looking after the interests of Dominicans. The programs and associated expenditures that we are debating were geared towards making people feel secure even at the time after Maria. The purchase and distribution of food, water, and other basic supplies, giving residents access to roadways to allow them to check on relatives and their friends, assisting people with rebuilding their homes and their lives and livelihoods. I submit that the expenditures presented in the estimates are proof of the tremendous work done by this government. Madam Speaker, you will recall, over the past 18 months, the number of times in this honorable chamber I was called out to speak and act on behalf of the Roseau North constituency. For ease of reference, Madam Speaker, I took time to go on YouTube and do a search. I wanted to hear my parliamentary representative, his contribution on May 24, 2017. And I'm going to quote him, Madam Speaker. He said, and I quote, "I am your parliamentary representative. And as a constituent of Roseau North, you need to do better than that for the people of Roseau North. You need to ensure that when the cake is sharing, that Roseau North gets its fair slice of the cake," end quote. So, Madam Speaker, as is now public knowledge, that very same day in this honorable chamber, I accepted that challenge, although I knew I was already doing it, Madam Speaker, because then I took great pains to explain what this Dominica Labour Party was already doing in the Roseau North constituency. And Madam Speaker, I'm using that as a context to begin my presentation. I am going to speak here today as the caretaker for Roseau North constituency, because by that quote I have just said, I was designated the caretaker role by the elected member of the Roseau North constituency, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, like I said, as an obedient resident of Roseau North, I've taken up the mantle of looking after Roseau North and ensuring that the people of Roseau North feel the love and care of the Roosevelt-Skerrit administration. And my parliamentary representative who handed me that role knows that I am working and the Labour Party is visible in the Roseau North constituency. So, Madam Speaker, you know when you get on LIA, they tell you sit back and enjoy the flight with us?
I invite you, Madam Speaker, to sit back and let me say to you what this Labour Party government has been doing in the Roseau North constituency as I defend the supplementary appropriation bill today, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, in Roseau North, the supplementary appropriation, I'm going to break it down, the expenditures, in a few categories. We had relief immediately after Maria. We had cleanup, unemployment, I'm twinning them together. We had rebuilding livelihoods, you've heard about the agricultural grant, and we had housing and other assistance post-Maria. This caring and thoughtful government moved swiftly after Maria to procure food supplies and other basic needs to ensure the safety of citizens of this country. Madam Speaker, the amount of 4.7 million in the estimates under the Ministry of Employment represents this initiative. Madam Speaker, in the first few days following that Maria, we saw all hands on deck on the government side, Madam Speaker, driven by our care and concern for our people. Madam Speaker, Jikmwe, take a galley put supplies for Roseau North. Even I was caught up looking for supplies for Roseau North, albeit in the first few days. And I'm not a par rep. Then again, I have caretaker status from my parliamentary representative. So I guess he was too busy to do such menial tasks. He handed it to me, and I'm probably doing it, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have a joke. Every day, the honorable member for the Suffragette constituency would look at me and tell me, "You're not even a girl, and you're not even a par rep." She couldn't understand my enthusiasm and how much I had taken up the mantle from the elected member after he had handed it to me, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, like everybody else on Dominica, I was affected. This is the first time in my life I thought I was going to die, but that's not important. What is important is I remembered my commitment in this house to the residents of Roseau North and to my parliamentary representative and to my oath, Madam Speaker, and I was out there. I was out there doing what was necessary to bring comfort and assistance to the residents of the Roseau North constituency. And I did it without thinking because it was the right thing to do. And my parliamentary representative clearly now appreciates it because he's looking at me with a smile, and I assume that that smile is one of admiration. Thank you for that. Madam Speaker, not to mention, I was following the lead of a kind, helpful, caring, thoughtful, and concerned political leader in the name of Dr. the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wrote this on Monday, and when you referred to Crystal Ball 101, I smiled, because I too had Crystal Ball 101. I went to UE, and at none of my university classes, neither UE or England, did I do Crystal Ball 101. But when I spoke of my caring leader that I was following his footsteps, I could just read the minds of some people in this honorable house and figure out what they were thinking. But I will not go there, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, to my dismay, my par-rep took objection and issue with my actions. The honorable member for Roseau North took issue with my kindness. That's a joke. That has to be a joke, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I asked myself, but why he concerned about what I do and if I helping people? Am I going to the same people for help that he was going to, and he was afraid I was upstaging him? But I know that was not the truth, Madam Speaker. So I did not understand what the fuss was about. Madam Speaker, for you, I want to ask the honorable member whether he really preferred to see the people who were elected him to office suffer instead of accepting help from someone on the other side of the house. But then again, remember, he endorsed me as a caretaker. He's given up his role, so probably I should not bother with that. So, Madam Speaker, for an avoidance of doubt, I am ensuring that Roseau North gets its slice of the cake. Why do you say cake? I think the expression is the slice of the pie. So what it is I was doing was ensuring we got our slice of the pie. Madam Speaker, this is what I did. I negotiated with a charitable organization to give me relief packages. What they did, they prepared nice little packages. I don't know if I was feb, it was even heavy sometimes to carry one me one. All sorts of things were in those packages. And on a Saturday, when it's not an official work day, I would go about bringing cheer to some of the elderly and some people. So one Saturday, with my older brother in tow, I went about distributing stuff. And I was in the vicinity of my parrot. Now, I should have mentioned before, Madam Speaker, in the first week, I went to see my parrot just to see how he was doing. Up to now, my parrot haven't come to look for me. Up to today, Jig Jordy, he haven't come and look for me, but I went to look for him. So that Saturday, I'm taking care of everybody, including my parrot darling. Red, blue, Christian, non-Christian, Tutmoon. That is what the Labour Party is about. We're helping everybody. So that particular Saturday, I had promised some people in the lower Goodwill area to bring them some care packages. And then I remembered someone saying to me that my parrot was on the radio saying he had no water. And I decided, as the official caretaker has handed by him, that's not acceptable. I have to fix this. So I went to look for my parrot. The Honorable Minister for Environment and other things, like we fondly say in here, was visiting with my parrot that Saturday. I went to see my parrot and said, listen, I came to look for you already, and I'm sure you got my message, and you called me. And I said to my parrot, look, I heard you on the radio saying you had no water. So let me see. A lady was the lady who I had brought the care packages to for distribution. I said to her, go get me 2 packages for my parrot. And in all fairness to him, the first thing the parrot said to me was, thank you. But, no, there was a but. There is an old lady downstairs of my home who is in more need than I am. I said, that's okay, I'll take care of her myself. Those are for you, my dear parrot. Those are for you. I turned around now and I said to the lady, get me a 3rd package, but bring it directly to the old lady for me. Madam Speaker, when I done, I called. I wasn't able to get someone to give me water because the main intent was to get water for my parrot. I went to my home and take water that I had. I called and I said to someone, I need a favor, I need ice. Because ice was gold in those days. This is how much I cared for my parrot. And Madam Speaker, I say to you that I left my home with noble intentions. The plan was not for me to talk about it in the Honorable House. And imagine my shock and surprise. That was a Saturday. Must see the Monday. Somebody called me, because everybody knows I'm not on Facebook. You know your parrot post something about you on Facebook, Modikisa? I said, what is that? They said, yes, your parrot say you bring food for him. I now call it the I am hungry fiasco. That's how I refer to it. But Madam Speaker, out of my good intentions, my parrot decided to play a trick on me. He tried to flip the script. But you know what they say, eh? When you dig a pit for one, look out. But Madam Speaker, if I was like Shaggy, I would say it wasn't me. But he dug the pit and he knew what happened thereafter. Madam Speaker, what was a little odd? I remember driving past. I wasn't driving myself. Slow down. I said, parrot, you put me on Facebook? He tell me, well, you were wrong. You should not have been involved in distribution ration. I spent my Saturday, instead of staying home and doing chores, because in those days, we worked 7 days, Madam Speaker. Every day we were at work. Taylor. Instead, Madam Speaker, of staying home and doing my laundry and doing things that I had to do because we all got affected, I went trying to touch people's lives. And instead of the man who gave me the mantle to carry, said to me, congratulations, Miriam, keep going, he decided to follow the bad advice of some people and go on Facebook and try and ridicule me. In the end, ridiculing himself, why he couldn't leave his home for maybe 2 months after that, Madam Speaker. But anyway, Madam Speaker, let me tell you what is not true. I have here my child. Let me tell you what is not true. What is not true is what you were saying on Q95 on the 27th of November. No, watch me. You let me answer you. Through you, Madam Speaker.
Cross talk, please.
But
Address
Madam
the
Speaker,
chair.
he don't start, so let me continue for him, Madam Speaker. Through you, let me say to him, he's saying that I'm speaking the untruth. Let me tell him what is the untruth, Madam Speaker. I have a transcript that I got someone to do for me after getting the clip from him on cue, there about the 27th of November, where he's claiming that when I came, he said to me, Farmer Clone, Saidi, I am telling you, I'm quoting, 3 Sundays ago, and it was a Saturday I went in, 3 Sundays ago was the first time I received some food from no other than Miriam Blanchard, Senator and Communications and Works Minister. I was Public Works and Ports Minister, by the way. Senator Miriam Blanchard brought me 2 heavy bags, overloaded with carbohydrates and very lean on protein. You know I said thank you to her, da. There's a part, where he claimed, he asked me if he's a clone that day, he so couldn't believe it was me. But Madam Speaker, oh, look it. I heard that she was distributing supplies in Roseau North, but she actually came to my house. I said to her, Miriam, is that you? Or is it a clone in front of me? So,
Translate.
I am sorry, Madam Speaker. That you were rolling your saying on Q95 is not what you said to me. Because Parep, we can do a survey, Madam Speaker. I'm sorry. Madam Speaker, if we do a survey today, more than 10 people stopped to greet me and my Parep at the end of that road. And they will tell you we were having a cordial conversation. And nothing like that did not happen, Madam Speaker. But Madam Speaker, let me continue with my presentation on behalf of the Roseau North constituency. Madam Speaker, this caring government, although this constituency is not represented on this side, we ensured that in quick time we mobilized equipment and people to clean Roseau North. Madam Speaker, where was the parliamentary representative? I would like to know myself. Madam Speaker, every community in Roseau North benefited. And let me tell you what the PAREP is not aware of. What this government did was to use the opportunity to employ persons who were not working to assist in the cleanup drive. This is what we did, Madam Speaker. Is the PAREP aware of that? PAREP, we have people like Radio in Tarishpit who were able to. We have people like Radio, Madam Speaker, a young man from Tarishpit who we got to learn some management skills as he led a crew for cleanup in the Tarishpit area. Madam Speaker, we had another excellent group in Lower Goodwill who did an excellent job, Madam Speaker. Young Devante, Kenny, Alicia come immediately to my mind. We had more than one group in Upper Goodwill, as well as Yam Peace and Stock Farm. Madam Speaker, in Pottersville, my friend Kelvin did an excellent job in bringing people together to help in the cleanup of the Pottersville area. And they did an amazing job to the point where they were able to get the water restored quicker than it was initially intended. In short, Madam Speaker, the Roseau North constituency, we worked like a team with everybody on board, where the government worked with them and paid them for their time. Madam Speaker, I want to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to all of the Roseau North persons who came forward to assist their government in the cleanup campaign of their respective communities. I want to say to them that it was because of their efforts that many people in the Roseau North constituency were able to gain a strong sense of normalcy after Maria so quickly. And Madam Speaker, in 2018, everybody knows the work is still continuing to clean up in Roseau North. I remember early January getting calls from residents of Roseau North from Mount Daniel saying to me that they were patient, but they're so happy to see the work that's happening in the cleanup in those areas. Madam Speaker, we heard about the gutter village. 8 a.m. or even before 8 o'clock, I got a call from King Crab, who's on the improvement committee, Alvin O'Geets, who's also on the improvement committee, saying to me that they had a situation in the village of Gutter. Madam Speaker, what had happened was since after the Hurricane Maria, there was a situation in the ravine in Gutter Village. Madam Speaker, when they called me so early in the morning, the first thing I did the next day was to go to that community to ensure, to see what was happening and to ensure that the government was going to come to the rescue. I was pleased to hear in this honorable house that people are pleased with the work of the government, and I know the residents are pleased because, Madam Speaker, I was there every day for 6 weeks. Some people in the honorable house, I never saw them. But, Madam Speaker, we did what we had to do as a caring government. Madam Speaker, with respect to the grant assistance for farmers, Madam Speaker, we have more than 20 and 33, 50-something people, 53 persons also benefited from that grant for the agricultural sector, for farmers, thanks to the generosity of the World Bank. And I want to say thank you to them for that as well. Madam Speaker, let me move quickly to housing. Housing. Like I said, we have an amount in the supplementary appropriation for housing. Madam Speaker, in Roseau North, we got our share of the pie. Of the amount allocated for emergency works across the island, the constituency of Roseau North to date, we have had $2.8 million already approved for home renovations, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, if you do the math, you realize that we've gotten more than our share of the pie. Madam Speaker, to date, in excess of $2 million has already been disbursed, with more than 100 persons already getting assistance. Madam Speaker, I am not sure.
You have 5 minutes left.
Madam Speaker, I'm not sure whether the PAREP has gone to Yampis recently to see the homes that this Dominica and Labour Party, this caring government has already started rebuilding for people. Madam Speaker, we have an elderly citizen in the Roseau North constituency. Everybody knows Gracie. Does he know that Gracie and her neighbors have new roofs? Does he know that a few of them are already living normal lives and getting ready mentally for the new hurricane season, Madam Speaker? These are the things that a caring and thoughtful PAREP should be aware of and should be driving an initiative. But instead, we are doing it, Madam Speaker. This Dominica Labour Party, who cares about the people of Roseau North, we will continue, Madam Speaker, to ensure that when there's a cake, we will ensure that we get our chunk of the cake as well. Madam Speaker, with these few words, I want to lend again my unwavering support to the supplementary appropriation bill before this honorable house. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, after I heard the contribution coming from the new minister for the member for Roseau Central, this blistering and exciting contribution, I said to myself there was nothing left to be said. But as the member for the biggest constituency on that side of the house, I've said to myself I must say a few words. Madam Speaker, but the honorable member for Roseau Central, being part of a winning team, I've seen a new life in him, a new Joseph Isaac, and that a new birth. And that is, Madam Speaker, is manifested in many aspects of his new life. Yesterday when he came to Parliament, I looked at his attire, Madam Speaker. And I said, no, don't laugh. And I noticed the elevation in his attire. He came with cough, his tie. And how do you call this thing that you put there? Thank you very much. So, Madam Speaker, please get in there. Please get in there, Madam Speaker. Yes, he's learning, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I listened. I'm going to touch, Madam Speaker, on two main issues on this appropriation bill before this honorable House. One, Madam Speaker, $40 million has been spent for river dredging, $20 million, sorry, Madam Speaker, and the $12 million for emergency bridges. But, Madam Speaker, permit me to dispel some of the interventions made by some of the members on the other side, misleading interventions. And, Madam Speaker, I sat there in this honorable House and I listened to all of us as we spoke to the public, through you, Madam Speaker. And I get the impression that, especially those of us who sit on the other side, I got the distinct impression, having listened to them from yesterday, that they're living in a bubble. Because, Madam Speaker, I think we have to put this measure into proper context. We're coming from two very serious, destructive, Madam Speaker, periods. You may recall the passage of Erica. 95% of our gross domestic product was washed away. In less than 1 year, Madam Speaker, we were struck by a Category 5 hurricane. And the leader of the opposition made reference to the importance of fiscal prudence and fiscal management and financial administration, etc., and leadership. Madam Speaker, all of us who got up the morning after Maria, felt that the world was coming to an end. And we felt that Dominica could have never recovered from that destructive hurricane. But because of the leadership manifested by our Prime Minister and the Labour Party, when we, Madam Speaker, recall where we were the morning after Erica and where we are at now, Madam Speaker, we have made a remarkable improvement, Madam Speaker, thus far, Madam Speaker. And to say further, there's much more to be done. And to the extent to which, Madam Speaker, that the opposition and the dissenting voices cannot challenge the ability of this government. So what they're doing, they are conniving with the friends and operatives within the public and private space to destabilize this government and this country, Madam Speaker. But the people of Dominica will not stand for it. They will fail in the effort because the vast majority of Dominicans know for sure that the future and the future of the children reside, Madam Speaker, in sustained, competent leadership at the highest level, and that can only come from the Prime Minister and the Dominican Labour Party, Madam Speaker. So, the member for Marigot and the leader of the opposition is not there today. He walked out. But I want to say to him, Madam Speaker, through you, that he must make up his mind whether you want to be a poet or a politician. A poet. A poet, Madam Speaker, is someone of his own methodology and reality. They imagine things. They do not see things the same way we see things. And they always speak from the abstract perspective. So that's why, Madam Speaker, and when you listen to them for the first time, you might be impressed, because they sound nice. Madam Speaker, having said that, I can never forget, permit me, with your permission, Madam Speaker. In Canada, one of my cousins had a bird that was trained, Madam Speaker. And I was fascinated by that bird. So every morning I got up to go to school, the first morning, I heard Manning, Manning, Manning. I said, what's happening there? I said, what's happening there? So I went to my cousins to say, the bird is trained. So the next morning I was happy, hoping to hear that bird say the same thing. The next morning when I got up again, Manning, Manning. So 2 mornings after, when I got up, I said to the bird, Manning, Manning, I'm happy. And during the daytime, Madam Speaker, the neighbors used to come around the house. And everybody, Manning, Manning. But one night I was going out. As I opened the door, Manning, Manning. Madam Speaker. Night time. The next time I had a late class, I came home late, middle of winter. Morning. So I decided, Madam Speaker, from henceforth, I was going to pass through the garage to come to my room. So 2 weeks thereafter, the neighbors started complaining. They said the bird has become a nuisance, Madam Speaker. And rather than truly, Madam Speaker, I was thinking of a creative way to get rid of that bird. But, Madam Speaker, that was Canada. You have to be careful with birds. The member for Marigot, every time he speaks, he says the same thing, a harming bird. He says the same thing, Madam Speaker. And, Madam Speaker, when he has been tested to bring forth practical recommendation to inform the policy direction of this country, he says the same thing. You can recall, Madam Speaker, when we had the launching of the creed, we're talking about creed, Madam Speaker. We're talking about leadership. The most profound thing he had to say was coming forward, sons and daughters, Madam Speaker. And then, Madam Speaker, consistent, almost the same thing, Manning, the same thing. He came to the Parliament yesterday and this morning when he spoke, the same words, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to say to the member for Marigot and the leader of the opposition, he must stop calling on Dominicans to come forward. And he himself must put himself forward to represent the people of Marigot who have elected him, Madam Speaker. He must come forward and present to us on this side practical solutions and recommendations to make this country the first climate resilient country in the world and stop making a mockery of a national anthem, Madam Speaker. A poet, to be relevant, has to be creative. You can recall before when we raised small, everybody was fascinated by Perkins Douglas. They like us, man. Tanti Merle, you can recall all these things. Tanti Dancing and Slim Choopson. Everybody saying that, but people got tired of that. We want something new. So tell him, if you want to be relevant, you must become practical and represent the people of Marigot. Reference was made by him about the fisher folks and the manner in which, Madam Speaker, that some fisher folks did not actually get their share of the pie. What he has to do is to go to Marigot in his office and get the forms and have the fisher folks who are bona fide, who have not received, Madam Speaker, their assistance, to fill out these forms and bring it to the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Madam Speaker, to advocate on their behalf. That is representation, Madam Speaker. So we're not going to punish anybody in the Labour Party. This is a party of love, Madam Speaker. The other issue, Madam Speaker, I want to actually dispel here this morning. The member for Salisbury spoke yesterday at length about the plight of the nurses, as if to say that this government has a beef with the nurses. Madam Speaker, that's the opposite. Our political leader and the Prime Minister of this country was raised by a nurse. The member for Granby, who sits in cabinet, she's called in Granby North Charles. Not the honorable member for Granby constituency, but they call her North Charles. In cabinet, Madam Speaker, we don't say the honorable minister, we call her nurse. So every day in cabinet, we speak about nurses. The mother of the member for Portsmouth, the minister for trade, mother was a nurse. My mother for the first child, she started a public life as a nurse. And I can recall, I was old enough to recall, in 1979, I can never forget that date. Because at the time, the biggest in the family, we always look up to them. My sister decided she's going to pursue a better life in America in January of 1979, Madam Speaker. She left to go to the United States of America, the Green Apple. And she was not the only one. I can never forget that. In 1979, in that month, 33 nurses left Dominica to go to the United States of America to seek a better life. She came back 3 months thereafter because it wasn't what she thought. So that is not unique to the time we're living now. The same trend continued, Madam Speaker, under the Freedom Party. The same trend continued under the Workers' Party. What I can say to you, this administration is the only administration that has made a deliberate effort to try to train our nurses and to thereby create the critical mass, Madam Speaker. And it took the creativity of the Prime Minister to partner with our friends in Cuba to launch a specific nursing program at the State College, Madam Speaker, to train our nurses to create that critical mass. We have no control over people leaving to go and seeking better life. And, Madam Speaker, so you have destructive forces bringing in politics to the fore. They cannot challenge us in our effort to rebuild this country for children and our children's children. So they're going in all different forms to try to destabilize this country. But that shall not stand. The other issue, Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister and the Minister for Health met with that group, the nurses, and all the outstanding issues were discussed, and a roadmap as to the solutions was agreed upon. So to come in his house and try to mislead the public as if to say that this government has a beef with the nurses is totally, Madam Speaker, unfortunate and, Madam Speaker, sad. And they have to be called out for this, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to say a big thank you. That's why I stood up here. So, all my cabinet colleagues, the minister at the time, the minister for works at the time, and all my brother, Dr. Mann, for assisting us, Madam Speaker, in the Mao constituency, insofar as river dredging is concerned. We have made reference to the importance of housing post-Maria, but, Madam Speaker, the dredging of our rivers is critical in our effort, Madam Speaker. And if we do not get it right, all the work we have done to fix our roads can be brought back to nothing. So it's therefore important for us to act, Madam Speaker, in a very organized and structured manner to train our rivers or to have them properly dredged. And on behalf of the people of Checkall Valley, I want, Madam Speaker, to express my appreciation for the work that has been done thus far in the Mao constituency in that regard. Because whenever, Madam Speaker, it rained, the people walked on the stain on the porches. And I would get calls that were making preparation to run. And because of the good self of the Prime Minister, and this government who is caring, recognizing that there's a deficit, Madam Speaker, insofar as heavy pieces of equipment is concerned in this country, we're able to mobilize with our friends and our partners externally to bring to this country the equipment to actually dredge our rivers. We had identified before Maria, Madam Speaker, 13 critical rivers that had to be dredged. Then came Maria, and then the need, therefore, is even greater. And money is being put aside, have been spent for emergency bridges, or Bailey bridges, or permanent bridges, or which one is more appropriate, or most appropriate, sorry. And the people in River Estate were challenged. Well, let's come dressed in a nice suit. But people, months after Hurricane Maria, in River Estate, were living on the other side of the river. For months, their vehicles were locked on the other side of the river. And I can recall having a meeting, Madam Speaker, right next to the river. And I saw people crossing ropes, using ropes to cross the river. One lady said to me, she came from the supermarket to buy groceries, and while she was crossing the current of the river took the groceries. That's the life they were living. And a number of persons would sleep on vehicles if it rained on the other side of the river. I made a personal plea to the Prime Minister, and with the support of my cabinet colleague, and of course Dr. Daru. We had to use the Bailey Bridge that was meant initially for pitch lane, costing $485,000. And the people are very grateful for that intervention. And it's because of the Dominica Labour Party that this didn't happen. Now, Madam Speaker, we have to continue doing some more dredging in the River Estate area, because there's a low point higher upstream that has to be addressed. But Rome was not built in a day. Then I want to say again and express my gratitude, Madam Speaker, to the government again, because Dominica Strong, I have been advised when I was there a couple mornings ago, and has actually begun work in the Belfast River. This is a very, very important river, because you have a major installation there, Petro-Caribbean, and there's a wonderful emerging community called Resources Estate. It's a place, Madam Speaker, everybody wanted to build, because it's close to the river, and it provides a nice avenue for relaxation. So, Madam Speaker, I welcome this intervention. The monk spent, Madam Speaker, $20 million for river dredging. So, hopefully, Madam Speaker, very soon I've been advised by the new Minister for Public Works that work will begin on the upper section of River Estate insofar as dredging is concerned. Relief item. Much was said about relief. Everybody knows the record of this government, but I want to actually use this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to say thank you to a number of friends from Maho originally, but living in the United States of America. One in particular, Jay Sampson and others, who were able to mobilize 5 containers, 3 of which were 40-foot containers in relief items, Madam Speaker. We in our constituency would like to share. We took 2, and we gave 3 into the general supplies, Madam Speaker. And I want to say thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to say thank you to a friend of mine in Barbados who sent almost 600 tarpaulins for us in the Mao constituency. That is what representation is all about, Madam Speaker. You cannot stay out of your offices 5 months and 6 months after Hurricane Mario. You have never been to one house in the constituency and then come and say your role is to come and speak before a mic and to become a poet. That's not how politics runs, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, morning. So, Madam Speaker, with these few words, Madam Speaker, because I said I was going to be very brief, I want to say to the Dominican public that you have in this cabinet a united front, that you have in this government, Madam Speaker, a leader who's up to the task. And we are going to need, Madam Speaker, to help us navigate this turbulent time, Madam Speaker. And that's the most important attribute that is required right now in any leader at this particular moment in our development as a people. Sustained, competent leadership, Madam Speaker. And that is what defines this Labour Party administration, Madam Speaker. And coupled, Madam Speaker, by the policies, the member for Marigot stood here and he said the monies for the supplies were not our monies. But in the previous estimate before this Honourable House, I know, Madam Speaker, I'm just trying to tie, where $4.3 million was made available by this government, they stayed mute on that. This money had to be front-loaded in order to get supplies for our people. But because they saw multiple donors in this one, they say it's not our money. But I'm saying, Madam Speaker, I will never agree with you. Whatever you say, Madam Speaker, take it back. Okay, sorry. Yes, Madam Speaker, whatever you rule is okay for me. I never agree with a woman, Madam Speaker. We give them love, Madam Speaker. A lot of love. So, bio love. Any bio love? That's it, Madam Speaker. That's it. I'm not going to argue as more so my senior. No. Whatever you say, Madam Speaker, you're right. I take it back. I agree for ruling. But, Madam Speaker, most of the interventions that are taking place, Madam Speaker, is because of what the Labour Party stands for. And a number of things we take for granted in this country because of the policies of this Labour Party and the good self of the Prime Minister. But those things can disappear if we make the mistake and to allow Leonard Clinton and the Workers' Party to be Prime Minister, to be the government of this country, member for Marigot, Madam Speaker. And I think that has to be spelled out. And again, Madam Speaker, in ending, I want to speak on behalf of the Deputy Prime Minister, I think speaking, and to say to the member for Rosa Central, who I met in St. Lucia, Madam Speaker, a couple of days before he made his decision. I went to a ministerial meeting, and I went to buy something for my significant other. And my wife, yes, I can say it publicly, Madam Speaker, and I met him in a short pants, and he had a big smile. He was happy. He was happy. And I said, Joseph, how come you're so happy now? He said, something is coming. And I heard that. I said, okay, that sounds very good. So you went to St. Lucia for some level of detachment. But I want to say to you, so you have made the right decision. That's why you're so happy. And then, on behalf of the member for Cottage Constituency, all your sins have been forgiven. Okay? So, Madam Speaker, with this few words, Madam Speaker, I support this measure before this honorable House, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I'll be very, very brief with my summation. Just to make some very quick points, Madam Speaker. The leader of the opposition keeps talking about the low-carbon strategy and its implementation. If the leader of the opposition were to speak to every single prime minister in the developing world, he would know that we have been pounding the doors of the international financial system for many years to assist us with resources to implement our strategy. The fact remains, in many instances, they were not, and even today continue not to be responsive. And in some cases where you would have gotten resources to implement certain aspects of the strategy, the protracted processes of accessing the funds was always a concern. So we decided as a government, we were going to pursue our journey, our goal by ourselves, with some of our own resources. And this is why, when you look at some of the interventions we've made, they were able in large measure to withstand the Category 5 Hurricane Maria that visited us last year. But it's interesting, Madam Speaker, that when it suits the leader of the opposition, he raises that point. But even when the government itself was implementing certain aspects of the strategy, he criticized it and he distanced himself from it. So you see, there's never any sincerity, any real interest in adding value to the discourse, to the discussion taking place on any matter of national development when it comes from the leader of the opposition. So this is what it is. And it had to take the hurricane to let the international community understand the fact and the reality that we are on the front line in respect to the war brought upon us by climate change. And the statement which I issued to the international community at the podium at the United Nations caught the attention of the entire world. Caught the attention of the international world. And it caused for the compassion of the Secretary General of the United Nations for himself not only to express empathy and solidarity, but to travel all the way to Dominica to see the real situation on the ground. And we have seen the visits, and we have seen the commitments. Next week, Madam Speaker, we will sign the agreements with the World Bank of some $65 million, $50 million of which are grants to advance investments in agriculture and advance investments in housing. And the World Bank has always been a good partner, but they have been exceptionally so since the hurricane in assisting us in achieving our goal of being the world's first climate resilient nation. And we've seen similar reactions from the European Union, from the World Bank, from the CDB, and all of our friends, Canada, the United Kingdom, the Chinese government, you can name all of them, Madam Speaker, who are now fully on board with us in achieving that vision. So I want to make the point, Madam Speaker. If you speak to the current chairman of the OECS, Prime Minister Honorable Alan Shastney, he will speak to you about his frustrations. As a matter of fact, with one financial institution, he had about $100 million of a loan that he has set aside because he felt that the monies that they were getting was not aligned to his own vision to addressing some resiliency issues within St. Lucia. So the leader of the opposition gets a document from a local person who works in the public service, and he has not really understood the context of this document. He has not understood the content of the document, and he is just regurgitating what somebody else tells him. And, anyway, in respect to the public support, Madam Speaker, at no time have I heard the leader of the opposition made any complimentary statement about the public support program. It has always to seek to denigrate it and to denigrate the people who seek to access help from the public support program, Madam Speaker. Never once mentioned how he has heard people say it is good, it has affected them in a positive way. Always. So you cannot want to say that you have no problem with something, but never had the opportunity to say what you think that is good about the program, Madam Speaker. Every time we come to Parliament, whether it's supplementary appropriation, whether it is through budgetary allocations, they attack the public support program, Madam Speaker, and went as far as calling people some really nasty names, people who are accessing this program, not really understanding the impact of this program on the lives of the people of this country. So when we say to you that you are not supporting it, it is a fact. The records will show that, Madam Speaker. The records will show that. So if we say to you, the fact that you are not supporting the program, it means therefore you are not supporting us helping people in medical emergencies. It is simple as that. It is simple as that, Madam Speaker. And you see, Madam Speaker, these members in the opposition, they have already a program, so they have control over the console and they can say what they want. But when you come to Parliament, it's a different kettle of fish. You must come with facts. So the member for Salisbury stands there and says, and to repeat what his leader said in this press release about the farmers' grants, and says to the House of Assembly, and says to the people of Dominica, and imputing motives to give the impression that as Prime Minister and a Member of Parliament for Penville, I used my office to get my farmers in Penville to get more money than anybody else in Dominica. That's what he's saying. I will say publicly with no apologies, Madam Speaker, I do not need no foreign money to help my farmers in Penville. If I have to help my farmers, I will talk to the Minister of Finance. But here are the facts, Madam Speaker. In respect to what the member for Salisbury said, that the farmers of Penville got much more money and many more farmers got money than Salisbury. Here it is. 37 commercial farmers in Salisbury got $10,000 each, at an amount of $370,000. 131 small farmers in Salisbury got $3,000 each, at a total of $393,000. Total amount for Salisbury, $763,000. Penville, 39 commercial farmers got $10,000 each at $390,000. 87 small farmers in Penville got $3,000 each, a total of $261,000, for total amount of $651,000. So Salisbury got $763,000 and Penville got $651,000. 168 farmers from Salisbury got money from the farmers' grants. 126 farmers from Penville got monies from the farmers' grants. 168 farmers in Salisbury compared to 126 farmers from Penville. These people, Madam Speaker, they are bent on, and you see, they're saying so, Madam Speaker, hoping that the World Bank would note that and giving the world and the World Bank the impression that there was political interference on the part of the Prime Minister insofar as his constituency is concerned to unfairly provide his farmers with an advantage. And I'm saying to Dominican people, do not think that is affecting Roosevelt's character. Do not think that is affecting Roosevelt's character. That's affecting all of us in this country when members of parliament seek to undermine the efforts of the government to help the people of Dominica. So I want to place this on record. Let me say to the member for Marigot on the parliament, he always wants to speak about principles and about transparency, accountability, good governance. He loved those words. But how do you explain to the taxpaying public of Dominica that you have a senator appointed in this house who is not here in Dominica to be in the parliament, but is collecting a check every month for having done no work? Because, Madam Speaker, senators do not have constituencies. A senator's business is in the house. And if you are not in the house to do the parliament's business, how do you go and collect monies? That is a situation, Madam Speaker, where the leader of the opposition had a moral, legal, and ethical and principled obligation to disappoint the senator forthwith, Madam Speaker. Forthwith. There are people in the private sector, if they miss one day work, they'll be fired. One day's work, they'll be fired. There are people who want jobs in Dominica, and yet still they're talking about the economy bad. He's working overseas for a foreign entity and is not available in this house. How could we sit in the opposition and accept that and say there's nothing wrong with this? I don't mind somebody's going to study, Madam Speaker. They're doing a program, a master's program, they have to be out, and we give them time to go and study. Because we're hoping that you gain additional skills and you'll bring that to the benefit of the country. That's acceptable. But you're working your full-time job out of Dominica. You have not done one day's work for the last 3 sittings of Parliament. But you're collecting money, Madam Speaker. You're collecting money. I want the leader of the opposition to respond to this charge in the House. In the House, Madam Speaker. Because I know the Senator Dr. Thompson Fountain challenged him to fire me. Challenge him to fire me. Go fire me if you want. But he hasn't done so. But he comes here and he goes on the radio and he parades himself as this symbol and paragon of virtue and good governance and principles. I will say, Madam Speaker, and he spoke about the member of Rosa Central, Honorable Joseph Isaac, coming to cabinet without capacity. Madam Speaker, only a fool and a dead man who is of the view that he doesn't need help. And if help is offered, we don't accept it. Madam Speaker, this country and this government, I will say, will need all of the help it can get. All of the help it can get, Madam Speaker. And I am prepared as the leader of the country to accept all the help we can get, financial, technical, human resources, whatever help Dominicans or non-Dominicans here or overseas, are prepared to put at the disposal of the government and the country, Roosevelt Skerrit as Prime Minister will welcome you and accept the help you're offering, Madam Speaker. But you see him, he's too smart. He's too bright. He knows everything. So he doesn't need no help. And none of them can speak to him and advise them and make any contribution to anything of seriousness, Madam Speaker. And they speak about principles. Principles. What has changed, Madam Speaker? What has changed since the member for Rosa South was kicked out of the Workers' Party as deputy leader? What has changed? Where the purple wearing T-shirt people in Dominica? Where is Tina Alexander to make a statement on this? Are we really serious about protecting our children? Or we're playing politics with the protection of our children, Madam Speaker? Where it is? Mr. Linton felt so strongly about removing Honorable Joshua Francis from the deputy post. Where is his position now that Mr. Joshua Francis is back in that post? Did he vote for him? Because the numbers appear that he voted for him. He had the tacit support of the leader of the party. And I think agencies like UNICEF and others should take note of this development. Where are the right-thinking people who were all up there wearing purple shirts and ribbons and buttons? We must not play with the protection and the lives of our children. We must be serious about it. We must be serious about it. So let us not play with that, Madam Speaker. And finally, Madam Speaker, I will say again,
your 20 minutes is up, eh?
That good fast, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
I move that the Honourable Prime Minister be given an additional 5 minutes to conclude the debate on the supplementary appropriation. Do I have a second?
It has been moved and seconded that the Honourable Prime Minister be given a further 5 minutes to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Honourable Prime Minister, continue, please.
Madam Speaker, I will say that I am open, as always the case, to meet with any member of Parliament who wishes to meet with me to discuss matters of nation building, to discuss matters of their respective constituencies, and to even discuss any personal requests which they may have of the government, Madam Speaker. They have my number, they can get me on WhatsApp, they can call my office, and I'll give them the assurance. And I'm saying to the constituents that they must not allow the elected officials to use this nonsense about, oh, they can't go to the government, they're not going to the government. How can you be in parliament, in government, in representation, and not engender a working relationship with the government? It doesn't make sense. And Madam Speaker, I started a process. I started a process of meeting the opposition one by one, the elected members, to discuss matters in their constituencies on my invitation. And I met the member for Salisbury, I met the member for Rosa South, and we also met the member for Wesley. But I think there was an issue of the communication. And the intention was to meet with every one of them to discuss issues. And on these two occasions, Madam Speaker, when I met with these members, with senior ministers present and senior public officials present, we were able to intervene, make some interventions on a number of things in those constituencies. So we are prepared, but we must not take the lazy man's approach, the approach of indifference, the approach of on a caring nature, and just say we can't help. How can you be members of Parliament? Because you see, there are people who come into this business for different reasons. you have to come into politics with a profound intrinsic desire to represent people, to serve them. And if you do not have that, Madam Speaker, you will have great difficulty in representing them properly. And that is what we see on the other side, Madam Speaker. And all of the advice I've been told in the public domain that Honorable Isaac would have given were on deaf ears. Now, the letter has been declassified. That's a big term, you know, Madam Speaker, declassification of a letter. It is he who has it must make it available. It is he who it is addressed to who has to make it available. Because when he says there is a confidential letter, when the Prime Minister, in respect to the Constitution, consults with the leader of the opposition, it is done with confidence. There is certain solemnity to that conversation. But no sooner than he receiving the letter, he has posted letters written to him by the Prime Minister on matters of constitutionality, Madam Speaker, on his private Facebook page. So what is in the letter from little Joseph Isaac that you can put on Facebook? What is in the letter? What is in the letter that you believe that is more classified than CIA and FBI information? And FBI and CIA information, Madam Speaker, is declassified. You can read everything now about Kennedy. Years have passed by. And if he who was offered the letter saying to you, my brother, I put in white out over this confidential word. Go ahead, you, because you have made reference to it in the public, make it available. Please, we are challenging the leader of the opposition to post the letter written to him by the member for Roller Central on his Facebook page. And to also give to my friend, the Senator Thomas, a copy. Give Senator Thomas a copy. Give your deputy, the member for Roseau South, a copy. Madam Speaker, I can't get a serious letter like that and not even discuss it with one or two other members of the Labour Party. You share it to them. But it is interesting that if a member were to write to me a letter, a minister, a member of my government side, the government side, were to write me a letter like this, whatever the content is, the first order of business is to call the person forward and say, boss man, okay, let's discuss the letter. We may not agree on the content, but we discuss it. We discuss it. That's what leadership is about, Madam Speaker. And there's no leadership coming from the opposition. No. The leader of the opposition is unable to provide leadership to himself and leadership to his membership. And we know that. You know that, Senator. Senator Thomas, you know that. Because all he does, Madam Speaker, all he does with his usual smile, Madam Speaker, is to wink at me and encourage you on the right track there. So, Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, all I will say is I find, Madam Speaker, on the side, if you make it together your watch, the numbers will go bigger, Because every time I speak, you always give me less time. No? I'm wrong. You have good eyesight. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, suspend, right? Madam Speaker, I move that the House be suspended. Or adjourned? Suspended until 5:30. 6 p.m. this evening.
Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that this honorable House be suspended until 6 p.m. this evening. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? And please, members, in the and the people outside in the gallery, you remain seated until we're ready, eh? I find people bobbing up as soon as I start. So I'll start again. It has been moved and seconded that this honorable house be suspended until 6 p.m. this evening. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. This honorable house stands suspended until 6 p.m. this evening.
Madam Speaker!